this is Cheri at djsundry.blogspot.com, and in yesterday's video I showed you the Christmas journal that I had designed for my nephew and his wife. And I said either on the blog or in the video, or maybe even both, that if you would come back I would show you my journal from last year. And if you've been a follower of mine for a long time, either on YouTube or on the blog, you may have seen this journal. But I wanted to revisit it this year because I wanted to show you how it works for me, and maybe inspire you to make one. Now this one is quite different than the one that I made for my nephew. It's still just a composition book. Now this time I bought a composition book that was actually a grid. You'll see on the inside it's graph paper instead of lined paper. It was just something different and fun that I picked up. The cover, I actually gesso, I think. I don't know. It's been a long time since I made it. But I painted it. I sanded it. I Mod Podged this. This is actually tissue wrapping paper that I Mod Podged down. I put some trim here. I put tiles that say Christmas. This trim is just some that I picked up at my Joann's. The ribbon that I used matched the trim perfectly, and I used mistletoe and holly berry from 3 Girl Jam, so we're still getting our 3 Girl Jam in there. And then these gorgeous stick pins were from Pink Peacock. And if you haven't checked out her site, you should check her out too. She's got some great things. She's actually a design team sister of mine over at 3 Girl Jam. And some Tim Holtz paper, and some Teresa Collins flowers, and some, I think the Brad may be part of that same collection, I'm not sure. And then this was my book from last year. Now, unlike my nephews, let me just turn this way. Oops, that's what this is. Let me set this aside. My nephews only had 5 tabs, and if you look here, I've got more than 5 tabs here, because the one that I made for me, I designed specifically for my needs and wants. And so I want to show you what I did this year, and how that I'm already working, last year, and how that it does work. No, it's not a Filofax, it's my Christmas journal, and that's all that this is for, is just for Christmas time. So to open it up, I first put in this little pocket, and I haven't used many of these because I kind of forget that they are here. I believe these are little October afternoon little fun goodies, and this is an ATC size piece of paper from the Tim Holtz collection. Some twine. I'm not sure where this twine was from because, again, this is last year. And I'll tell you, I'll put a link to the original video that talked about that, about all the supplies that I used. More Tim Holtz paper here, and the first one is memories, and honestly I don't think that I did much journaling. I didn't, but I started to journal here, and I will go through and catch that up, maybe even later this season. A little thing down here, hopefully that's in the camera frame. There it will be. Christmas renews our youth by stirring our wonder. This was actually a bottom of a piece of paper. It was a quote. I can't remember what piece of paper that was from, but I just turned it into a banner and inked around it. So the first section is this, my memory section. Same tabs that I used for my nephews that you saw yesterday. The next section that I have is for photos, and I have put my photos in here from last year. No, I didn't. I haven't put my photos in here. See how bad I am? The good news is I am very careful about organizing my photos on my computer, so I will easily be able to pull them up because they're very well organized so that I can get to them. And then I can add to them. I probably won't put a ton of photos, just a couple of the more special ones. And I know that there are photos in here, and I'll show this to you in a minute. But I'll put a couple of my more special ones. Not necessarily decorating photos, because those are the ones I'll show you in a minute. My next one is traditions, where I talk about our family traditions. Again, I don't think I filled this out. Bad me. I don't think I've filled that out yet, but I will someday, I hope. The next section is recipes, and I have started filling this out. Like my one that I did back in Thanksgiving that I've shown. I really think it's great to have one place where my favorite recipes are included. This is a tradition, and the explanation of this will go in my tradition section, and again, this is just for me and to hand, my kids can have it someday, whatever. But I always make English toffee from Taste of Home. We make our rice soup. It's kind of a Norwegian tradition for my husband's family. And then the same frozen salad that we make. Now, I make tons of candy. Candy is what is my main thing. So this year I'll add a few more of my candy recipes, and eventually all of my favorite Christmas recipes will be in this book, so I can just grab it, and then any new ones I want to try I can add or not add as I carry on. So I've started adding those. Then we go to menus. Now last year was a little bit different for me. Typically I host Christmas Eve, at least in recent years, and then my brother-in-law and his wife host Christmas Day. And last year I decided I wanted to do both, despite the fact that I was working Christmas morning. I had a 6-hour shift. So I had everything organized, and I had my mother-in-law and my daughter, I did some stuff in advance, and then my mother-in-law and my daughter got it going, the things that were on a time, so that when I got home, then we could sit down and eat. So I made a menu. This is my Christmas Day menu and my list of who brought what. This was my beverage menu, my Christmas Eve menu, and then treats and snacks for game time, because, yeah, we like to eat. And then, again, like everything else, I did my Christmas guest list, and so that's for that year, the guests that I had. And then we come to our decorations, and I did this is probably the best, one of the best organized sections in my journal. I took pictures of my decorations, and I described them. This is one of those little journaling cards. I don't know if that went off. Sorry if it did. I think it did go off the camera. One of those little journaling cards, and then some of my pictures. Then we come over here and we've got more pictures, more explanations that I hand wrote, and then more pictures, more pictures. So these are just my pictures and my decorations, so I can look at that and say, okay, I want to change this up this year or not, and it's all right there. So that's why when it comes to my photograph section, those photographs will be more like family and things that we were doing and those kind of things. So then we come, again, like my nephew's book, I do have gift sections, but I actually divided it in two for my purposes. And this is the gifts given. And this was the list that I made of the ones that I had to do gifts that I was happy to do gifts for, and then what my plan was for them and what I was either making or purchasing for them. And then I put a check mark here if I gave it to them. Now you see that there's not a lot of check marks, and those check marks are missing for the most part because either they were at my house that night, or some of them I had planned to make journals for and I didn't get it done. So that's what some of those are done for. This is this year's list, and I'm kind of hiding it a little bit because I've already, of course, started working on this year's list. I've actually given a couple of the gifts already because I had family here that was from out of town and I didn't want to have to ship it. So I've already gotten that to them. So I've got my list. The only thing I've put in here at this point, now I may change it as I get closer to Christmas, but at this point, the only thing that I've put in here are the things that I've already purchased or what I planned. There's a couple of exceptions to that, but for the most part, what I've already purchased. And I did it on 2 pages this year so that I have, my kids don't really get into this particular book. So I decided I was going to go ahead and keep track of my husband and kids gifts too, because in the past I've just written them on paper or something because I was afraid they would find it if it was in a book like this. But this year I'm just putting it all in the book, and if they look, I guess there won't be surprises. So I'm already working on that. And the good news is this is really dismal on what I've actually accomplished, and actually the homemade cards I haven't done yet. But the good news is with the exception of 1 or 2 of these, if I purchased it, it's even wrapped. So that's a good start. And then then on this page we get into the gifts and who they are from, and if I wrote a thank you note. Now there are some gifts, like family gifts, that we receive and we tell them thank you when we get them, or we call them and tell them thank you, and that's different. But there are other items that I'm particular about getting a thank you note out for. And so those, I kept track of that so that I wouldn't forget, because we start getting gifts sometimes even almost a month ago. I think we got our first gift this year. So I haven't put that in here yet, but I will start looking towards recording those so that I remember to get their thank you notes. So I've already put the date in here with my Smash book and written that in. So, and then you get to the back, and I've got paper on the back cover, and this gives you a better look of how the tissue looks, and you can see this rough, how I sanded that to let the different colors come through the book. So that is my holiday, my Christmas holiday organization, and this book is used and it is loved. And as the year progresses, I will add more and more items to it. And then as the years in the future come, then I'll have a good reference point so that I'm not buying the same gift over and over again, or it just is a good organization for me. This is what works for me for my Christmas gift giving. And it's pretty. So thanks so much for stopping by today. And remember, take some time to enjoy the little things. Have a great day.